All right, welcome back. In this lesson, we're going to be covering the YNAB routines, namely the daily, payday, and monthly routines that you will need to use YNAB going forward. Now, I fully expect that this video you might want to rewatch regularly, so I would definitely recommend going ahead and bookmarking it so that you can come back to it and sort of solidify some of the concepts that you might need down the road. That being said, let's pop back over here and take a look at our cheat sheet, and you'll notice that on this page, we've got all of the routines listed out for you. And if you pay attention, they'll kind of build on each other, right? So there's the daily routine, and then if you look at the payday routine, it says, well, first you should complete the daily routine. That makes sense. And then the end of month routine, it says, well, first you should complete the payday routine, right? So you've got daily, payday, and monthly, and they all sort of build on each other. So let's really start with this daily routine here. A lot of people get really overwhelmed when I first encourage them to do this daily. They're like, geez, really? I got to go in here every day? And I know it sounds like a lot at first, but I promise if you do this daily, it will get to where it takes you less than 5 minutes. Whereas if you wait and do it a couple of times a week or once a week or a few times a month, all of a sudden this will get very overwhelming very quickly. You won't be as sharp. You won't remember what you did. You won't remember what the transactions were for. And it can get to be such a beast that ultimately you fall off track. Whereas if you do this daily, it can become very, very quick and just part of your rhythm and routine. In fact, what I like to recommend is creating what James Clear calls a habit stack. Now, he talks about this in his book, Atomic Habits. The idea is you want to pick something that you already do every single day anyways, something that you don't even have to put on your to-do list, something like drinking coffee or making your bed or brushing your teeth or, eating lunch or checking email. What is something that you can do that you know you're always going to do, even if it doesn't happen at the exact same time, that you can use that thing as the trigger to do your daily routine in YNAB? For me, it's morning coffee. I know it's very easy. Hey, I'm never going to not drink coffee. I can't remember the last day that I've had that I didn't have coffee. And so for me, I know, oh, I'm getting the coffee pot going. Let me check my phone real quick, see if there's any transactions I need to categorize from yesterday. Boom, 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 done. By the time I'm done, coffee's done, I'm ready to get on with my day. I like to do mine in the morning, but you could do yours in the evening or midday or whenever makes good sense to you. But I do want you by the end of this video to go ahead and think and decide when you're going to try and start your daily YNAB routine. What are you going to stack it up against? What habit stack are you going to use? That being said, let's talk about this routine. So the very, very first step is to record, approve, categorize transactions. So what I mean when I say approve or record, right? Record would be if you're doing this manually. Approve would be approving the ones that YNAB gets correctly. But a lot of the time, you're also going to have to categorize them. Let's pop over here to YNAB, and you'll notice that on the left-hand side, there are white dots. Those white dots tell me there's transactions that need my attention. I'm going to start with the credit card, and if I hit this blue header at the top of my screen, this will filter my view for just what needs to be dealt with. If I click that blue header, I'll now see there's 6 transactions, and I can breeze through these. I could go ahead and say, okay, well, Transparent Labs, that's groceries. So I'll start typing that in and hit enter and then hit save. Now the Mexican place, that's going to be eating out. So again, I can hit save. Domino's, that's also eating out. I could also come through here and scroll and do this, right? So I could scroll down and hit eating out and then save. Now, if I've got some transactions that are all going to the same place, like Amazon, I could select both of these. And then instead of double clicking, I can come down to the bottom and hit categorize and then come up to monthly living and then come over and click Amazon shopping, and that will do them in bulk. This is really nice if you do find yourself getting behind it all. The last one here is a credit card payment. We talked about this in the last lesson. Credit card payments are transfers. So I'm going to double click this, make it a payment from checking, and then hit save. All right, now the white dot is gone on the Chase Freedom. I'm ready to move on to the checking account. Come over here, blue header. All right, State Farm, that's car insurance. Social Security, that's income, right? Income comes into ready to assign, so I'm going to do ready to assign. Name of employer, that's also income, so ready to assign. And Spotify, that is Spotify. All right. I wasn't timing myself, but so far we're certainly under 5 minutes for the categorization part, which is the main and first step of the daily routine. The second step is then to cover over spending. So what does that mean? Well, in this case, I'm going to look and see what are the items that I've overspent. if I actually click, I could click on this view right here, and I could filter for just the things that are overspent, and I need to decide where I'm going to pull this from. Now, if I recently got paid, which I did, I could take these from ready to assign. We're going to talk more about this in a minute with the payday routine. So I could do that. I could say, hey, I want you to cover this with ready to assign by clicking here and then covering it with. But I could also decide where I have extra money that I would like to take from. And so maybe I say, hey, look, I've got eating out overspent, but you know what? I'm going to pull that from home furnishings and decor. Maybe I decided, you know what? We don't have anything that I'm really wanting badly right now, home furnishing wise. I'm going to go ahead and take that money and use it for my eating out. And then YNAB will cover that. I'm going to go ahead and do these as well. Okay, let's take that from workout equipment. I'll take this from workout equipment and car insurance. I'm just going to take that from ready to assign. All right. Now I've covered all the overspending. Those are the main two items on our daily routine. And those, if you can just do those two things daily, you are going to be phenomenally ahead of the game when it comes to managing your cash flow. The next one that you're going to see here on the routine, right, is this optional one, which is reconciling. Now, you don't have to do this daily. I do it a lot of the times daily. I do recommend reconciling at least payday wise. So if you get paid every other week or weekly or monthly, I would definitely reconcile with payday. But let's talk about what I mean when I say reconciling. Essentially, what we're doing is making sure that what YNAB says you owe and what the bank says you owe, or what YNAB says you have and what the bank says you have, agree with each other. That's it. Now, I have a bunch of helpful definitions down here around reconciling in the cheat sheet, but let's pop back over here and let's click into the checking account. And you're going to notice right up at the top of the screen, there are 3 balances: the cleared, uncleared, and working balance. The cleared balance is what YNAB says is all of your posted charges. That's what YNAB believes has fully processed at your bank. The uncleared balance is what YNAB believes is pending at your bank, and the working balance is those two things added together. On the far right-hand side, you'll notice that there's a column of green and gray C's. The green C stands for cleared and means that it has fully processed. The gray C stands for uncleared and means that it's pending. When I'm talking about reconciling, I'm talking about making sure that this balance perfectly matches the cleared or posted balance of the bank. Now, if you have your accounts linked in YNAB, you will notice that the check mark, YNAB will actually check this for you. So in the top right-hand corner, if I hit this reconcile button, watch this. It will actually tell me, hey, you're good to go. Your recent bank balance as of 3 hours ago is $0, and your cleared balance is $0. You can hit looks good. Now you'll notice my working balance is still 180, right? 180 here, 180 here, and that's because I have a pending charge on the 28th for Publix. But if that's pending at the bank, that's okay. I'm just reconciling to the cleared balance. And in this case, YNAB checks that, says I'm good to go. I can hit look good. If you get that notification, that ding, 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 hey, everything's good to go, you can reconcile and know that you are good to go. Whereas in this case, if I hit reconcile, you will notice that it doesn't give me that notification. It's asking me, hey, is this your current balance? Now, it doesn't give me that notification at all because this account is not linked. But if yours are linked and it gives you that, what that means is, hey, whatever balance we're pulling in from the bank, it does not match this one. So we're asking you. And then you can work through my reconciling troubleshooting worksheet, which is down here, to try and figure out why you aren't reconciling. Essentially, you at this point want to pull up your bank and YNAB side by side and start to go line by line and try and figure out what's missing. Is there something at the bank that's not in YNAB? Did I manually enter something in YNAB that is a mistake and not real and doesn't match the bank? And you want to find that mistake and correct it. Now, I have a whole video dedicated to reconciling. I'll leave a link to that down below as well. The nice thing is that if you reconcile often, the reason this matters, so when I reconcile, you'll notice that it turns all of those green C's into green locks. And so if for whatever reason I find myself in the future, somehow I'm off and the balance is wrong, I'll know the mistake had to happen after March 27th because up to that point I have all green locks. So that's why we reconcile. We want to make sure that we're working with real numbers. We want to make sure we can trust the budget. And so I like to reconcile daily because I do link my accounts, and 99% of the time I just hit this reconcile button. If it gives me this notification, I don't even need to go check the bank. I can trust it. I hit looks good. I move on with my life. If it doesn't give me that notification because I have reconciled very recently, it takes me like 2 seconds to pop over to the bank and look at the last couple of days and figure out what the mistake is, because I know I just reconciled recently. Whereas I have seen clients who go 6 months, a year, 2 years without reconciling. And they're like, how can I figure out where I'm off? And it's like, well, you have 2 years worth of data and you haven't reconciled since then. It could be anywhere. And it becomes a complete nightmare trying to fix it. If that's the case, I'm going to hit reconcile, and I'm not even going to try and fix it. I'm just going to say, no, that's not my balance. And I'm going to type in whatever the actual balance is. And then I'm going to hit next, and then let YNAB create an adjustment and finish. And then YNAB will enter this manual adjustment. You'll see it right here. So you'll see it says 327 reconciliation balance adjustment, and it just automatically enters an adjustment to force the balance in YNAB to equal whatever it actually equals at the bank. So that's how reconciling works. Again, check out the reconciliation video down below if you want to go more in depth on this. Daily routine. We're going to categorize everything, cover overspending, reconcile if you want to. And then the last step is not something you would do necessarily at the same time, but just starting to build the habit of actually looking at YNAB before making decisions. I've alluded to this a couple of times, but the idea is if I'm going to go to the grocery store and buy groceries, I would want to take a quick look and see, well, how are we doing? This would be especially important towards the end of the month, right? So I'd scroll down and say, okay, well, looks like we don't have any money left for groceries. So either at this point, I need to wait until the next month, or I need to preemptively decide, you know what, I can take some money from clothing and move that to the groceries category. Now, real quick as an aside here, I want to remind you, this sounds very restrictive. This sounds like, well, geez, man, you told me that, this is not going to tell me I don't get to have fun and tell me I don't get to do stuff. Yes, I did. And the reason is because you should have things in here that you really, really want with targets set for them. The idea is I want to check my groceries category. I want to check my fun spending category. I want to check my clothing category. And I want to make sure I don't bust those, because what I want more than those things is this awesome big winter cabin trip. What I want more than those things is this kitchen renovation. And so I don't want to screw up my spending on day-to-day stuff and then ultimately have to end up taking it from this kitchen renovation. And so the reason that I'm checking YNAB before spending isn't because I'm trying to be neurotic. It's because I desperately want to do some of this fun stuff, and I want to make sure that I'm sticking to the game plan that I've laid out so that I can make this stuff happen. So that is the daily routine. Now, let's talk briefly about the payday routine. Now, the payday routine is, of course, going to start with a daily routine. Then you're going to reconcile the accounts. If you haven't already reconciled them, definitely do that on the payday side. And then the last step of the payday routine is simply to assign your ready to assign money down to zero. Now, in this case, if I wanted to manually do it, I could, right? I could say, okay, well, I need to, put some money down here for my pet insurance. So I'll do that. And then I'll put some money down here for Netflix. And I'll do that. And I could go line by line by line. But if I want to, I could also select like my entire fund spending group, my entire monthly living group. And then over here on the right-hand side, just click underfunded. And boom, now all of my stuff is fully funded with all my targets. Now, even better than that, let's actually pretend, so ignore what I'm about to do, right? Let's pretend that I have already fully funded the month of March. So let's pretend that we just got paid. It's kind of at the tail end of March, and March is already done. Yeah, I didn't budget for the mortgage and utilities, but that's because I started in March, so I don't care about those. But the rest of these you're going to notice are all green, right? Everything's nice and clean and green. I've hit all my targets, and yet I just got paid. So what do I do with this money? Well, I'm going to either click into April and let YNAB automatically fund April by clicking one button and let it, boom, fund my targets as much as it can until it runs out. Or I'm going to set it right down here into next month's money until it's April 1st, and then I will do my end of month routine. Either way will work. It's totally up to you. I would encourage you to not leave it in ready to assign. When it's in ready to assign, it feels a little too it's a little too easy to spend, right? And so I like to go ahead and put it into the next month or put it right here into the next month's money category. The point is your payday routine is when you actually take new money that has come in the door and assign it down to 0. And that brings us to the monthly routine. Now, the monthly routine, of course, is going to start with a payday routine. So at this point, you've done all of your daily stuff. You've also assigned your ready to assign. There's really only like 2 little extra things to do on the monthly side. The thing that I like to do, and by the way, this is not like a requirement to use YNAB. This is just my recommendation, best practice. I like to make a decision about what to do with what I call the breadcrumbs. It's what to do with your leftovers. So imagine at the end of the month, you come in a little under budget in eating out or groceries, and you're like, oh, I have a little bit of extra money here. What do you want to do with it? Now, you could just let that money roll over to the next month and it'll be there, and that's fine. I like to be a little more intentional. So in my head, I kind of always know what's my main financial goal right now. Am I trying to invest more money? Am I trying to save for something specific? Am I trying to pay down debt? And I like to siphon my breadcrumbs and move it to whatever my main priority is. And so in this case, you can actually see that I actually created a view just for breadcrumbs. So views are in the top right here. You can click this little guy and then you can create a new view, and it will allow you to select just a subset of your categories. In my case, I've created this breadcrumbs view, and basically if there's money left in any of these categories, I don't need it. I don't want to build money up in these categories, so I'm going to select all of these. I could do them one at a time and move it to ready to assign. But I'm going to select all of them, and then on the right-hand side, I'm going to click Reset Available. So now, look at that. I came in $1,500 under budget. Now, part of that's probably because this is my very first month, and I just didn't need all that money. But I'm going to take all this on and move it right down there to the kitchen renovation. Boom. Now I just came in under budget, and I've got an extra $1,500 towards my kitchen renovation. Now I'm stoked. And so the first little section of the monthly routine after doing my daily and payday stuff is I want to decide what I'm doing with any leftover money. And then the very last step of the monthly routine is to assign my money into next month. And so in this case, if I've got my next month's money category, now let's actually give us a little bit more money to play with here. Let's make this make a little more sense, because I'm going to make it to where we're not quite 1 month ahead, but let's say we're close. Okay. So in this case, I'm going to take my money out of my next month's money category. It's now in ready to assign, and I'm ready to go into April, right? Everything's up to date. Accounts are reconciled. There's no overspending. I've dealt with my breadcrumbs. I'm ready to move forward into April. I'm going to go and click here. Now, on the far right-hand side, you'll see my total underfunded is $13,000. So I need $13,000 to finish the month of April. I don't quite have that, but I'm close. And maybe I know that on my next payday, I'll get enough to finish that out. And so in this case, I'm just going to click underfunded, and YNAB is going to automatically fund the mortgage, the utilities, the pet insurance, the car insurance. It's going to go through and fund all my targets based on the due dates until it runs out of money. And so if I do that, boom, assign. Now April is almost taken care of. You'll see that I haven't fully done gas or workout or clothing yet. All the yellow ones I haven't done yet. But whenever I get paid again on my next payday routine, I'll be able to finish that out. I only need $5,000 to go. And so that's sort of the flow. Every time you get paid, you finish the month that you're in. And then if you have any leftovers, you put it into next month's money. And then at the end of the month, you take the money from next month's money and you actually go put it into the next month. And then you are ready for the new month. And that brings me to explaining what I mean when I say 1 full month ahead. And so my initial goal is that if you are not 1 full month ahead, that you would push and set a goal for yourself to get 1 full month ahead. 1 full month ahead means that you're able to start the entire month of April with everything covered. Imagine if I had just a little bit more money here. Let's put a little bit more money in here. And now when I hit underfunded, boom, it's going to finish April for me. It's got everything in April, and I still have $8 left. And just for fun, I'm going to put that in eating out. And now I'm starting April with everything covered. And you'll know you're 1 full month ahead if you don't need any income made in that month for that month. Let me say it again. If I don't need to use any income for April, meaning the money I make in April, if I don't need it to finish my April budget and I can take all of that money and put it into May, that means I'm 1 full month ahead. And that is my initial goal for you, would be to push to get 1 full month ahead. Now, if you're already more than 1 month ahead, then you might want to have another category down here under savings for like, future months or extra months or, emergency fund money type stuff, right? If you've got 6 months of money, then you might be 1 full month ahead and then have a category for the other 5 months, for example. But if you're not 1 full month ahead, that's what I like to push to first. Either way, the thing that I want to hammer home more than anything is making sure that you have created categories and targets that you are actually excited about. Just like my example, the kitchen renovation or the big winter family trip, I want to make sure that there's stuff in here that I really, really want to make happen, because that's going to compel me to come in here and actually use these routines. This is what makes YNAB so powerful. I want to budget not just for fun, not just for the sake of being neurotic and psychotic about my money, but because I have big goals, big dreams, big things that are, my purpose that I want to use my money towards. And YNAB helps me do that. And I hope that it'll help you do that too. And that brings you to the end of the Forefront YNAB course. Thank you so much for going through this. I'm really excited about your future using YNAB and being able to make sure you're using more of your money to do the things that matter the most to you. At this point, your next step is to make sure that you've scheduled your daily routine. When are you going to go through, categorize your transactions, cover your overspending, and use YNAB on a day-to-day basis? Make sure you've put that habit stack on your calendar, or at least know what thing you're going to use to trigger checking YNAB. And then, of course, if you have any questions at all, you're stuck on something, you don't know how to do something, you don't know how to categorize something, or you're just lost in it, please reach out, info@forefront.com, and we'll be happy to help. Thanks again for watching. I look forward to your future using this, and we'll talk to you soon.